if an active employee dies after they've retained eligibility for retirement, but they haven't purchased back years that they qualify for credited service, their surviving spouse actually has the option to purchase back those additional years following these same procedures if they would want to do that prior to receiving the deceased member's retirement benefit.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. This week I'm addressing another listener question, and actually pertains to what I talked about last week, which was the Connecticut teachers' retirement system and how it functions. And this week, the listener question is, they're also a retiring Connecticut teacher, and they'd like to know if they should purchase additional service credit that they are eligible to purchase. These were years that they taught, but they're currently not counted in their pension calculation. So this episode, I'm going to address 3 things that you should know about purchasing service credit if you're a Connecticut teacher. And those 3 things are what service credit is eligible, how do you purchase the service, and then knowing whether or not it's a good deal for you and if you should go forward with it. So number 1, what service credit is eligible? Well, from the Connecticut Teachers Retirement website, they state that there are numerous types of service credit that may be purchased to increase your retirement benefit. And some are treated the same as actual Connecticut public school teaching service, and then some are considered non-Connecticut. And it's your responsibility to document additional service credit on the appropriate forms that they have, and lack of required information is requested on the appropriate additional service forms. And if that's not provided, that might cause delays in processing a cost statement. And they offer one thing that you can do is you can use their service credit estimator. And on there, you can put in some information and you can get an unofficial breakdown of what it will cost you to purchase this service. They also state that you cannot use the additional service credit estimator for previous Connecticut teaching service. That is, if you taught in Connecticut and then you left and came back and want to purchase that, you have to reach out to them. So on their website, they have Connecticut service, and the type of service in Connecticut that's eligible would be if you had adult education assignments, high school credit diploma program only, non-GED, hourly paid certified teaching service, tutoring, CTE, etc., part-time lecturer, part-time service, meaning less than 50% equivalent, previous absence or terminations due to pregnancy, previous leave of absence for child rearing purposes when not granted by Connecticut local school district, prior CT service withdrawn, state of Connecticut employment teaching, that is at UConn, colleges, state of Connecticut agencies, DOC, DMR, substitute teaching, and wartime military service. And then for non-Connecticut service that's eligible, that can be if you worked for the American School for the Deaf Teaching Service, Connecticut Institute for the Blind Teaching Service, elected official, federal teacher corps, full-time permanent state of Connecticut employment, but not limited to judicial, DMV, DPW, DPH, military dependent school, New York Department of Education Teaching Services, Newington Children's Hospital Teaching Service, outside state teaching service, Peace Corps, peacetime military service, social work assistance in a public school from 1969 to 1986, state education resource center teaching, and VISTA. So these are the different types of service credit that you're eligible to purchase. So if you fall under one of these classifications, then the next step is, how do you actually go about purchasing the service? So for each one of these different types of service that you could be eligible for, there's a corresponding form that you need to fill out. And that form requires some information from you as well as where you performed this teaching. So you'll need to get a signature from whoever's authorized to do that. And then once that's done and you have the other documents that you need, either where you have to get the signature from, they'll forward all this on to the Connecticut Retirement Teachers Board, or you'll send it into them. And once they've received the forms, then they will notify you either via email or mail that they have the forms, and they'll let you know approximately the processing time. And I can tell you that sometimes it takes a long time from doing this with other clients. Additionally, if an active employee dies after they've retained eligibility for retirement, but they haven't purchased back years that they qualify for credited service, their surviving spouse actually has the option to purchase back those additional years following these same procedures if they would want to do that prior to receiving the deceased member's retirement benefit. Now, you may be wondering, when should you do this? Well, definitely in advance of when you're planning to retire, because you have to buy these additional years before you collect your retirement benefit, or it won't be factored into that benefit. As well as the longer that you wait, the more costly these years become, because you're not only buying back your service credit, but you're buying back the service credit plus the interest that you've earned over the years. So if this is from 30 years ago, this is going to cost you a lot more today than it would have then. So the Connecticut Teachers Retirement Board definitely recommends doing this as early as possible in your career for those reasons that I mentioned. So once you receive your cost statement for purchase of service, you want to take action on that relatively quickly. And you have three options as far as how you can pay for the service that you're purchasing. You can pay with a check using any means that you want, cash, however. You can pay with your 1% or supplement account. So if you've been putting additional money beyond the mandatory contribution and you have some money in your supplement account, then you can use that. And you can also roll over a 403B or 457 plan or other qualified retirement account to pay for the purchase of that, or a combination of the three. And you'll notice on your cost statement that you have a due date. And from the ones that I've seen, it's about 30 days after it's received. And you have to pay it by that point because that's when it's been calculated. If you don't pay it by that time, it's going to be considered late and it will have to be recalculated. So you don't want to send it in late because you're just wasting your time. They're just going to send you your money back because they won't receive it. And they also mention on their website that if you're paying partially with a rollover, they would ask that you not have the rollover check sent to them. They recommend that you have it sent to you and that you send that in along with your check so they get everything in one payment. And then they'll send you a receipt that they've received the funds. And if you are using a rollover, I can tell you, as I've done many rollovers, that they usually take at least 7 to 10 days to get the money. So if you're planning to use a rollover to purchase this service credit, I would have that teed up well in advance of when you're going to receive that statement. Not necessarily doing the rollover, but knowing who you need to contact and what paperwork you need to fill out so that you make sure you get that rollover check and are able to forward that on within those 30 days that you have to pay for this so that you don't have to do this twice. Another creative way to fund this is that if you do have a 403B or 457 plan, you could take a loan from that plan and get that as a lump sum, and then you have 5 years to pay back that loan. So that's another way that you could get a hold of the money if it's a large amount to buy back these years, but not have to liquidate a retirement account at once to do that. You also have the option to not purchase all of the service credit. And if you're going to do that, they recommend that you send back the bill to them indicating how much service credit that you'd actually like to purchase, and then they'll send you a recalculated amount for the cost of that service credit. So say, for example, you could purchase 2 years, but you only want to purchase 1, then they will recalculate that and let you know how much it would cost to purchase that 1. So this brings us to our third point, and that is knowing whether this is a good deal for you. And so either using that cost estimator that I mentioned before, that's a good starting point to figure out how much is this roughly going to cost you. And then once you're ready to purchase, filling out the necessary paperwork and getting that statement, you need that to know how much it's going to cost. And once you have that, then you can calculate what your break even is, essentially what your return is by doing this. So let's just say you're 65 years old and you're eligible to purchase 1.7 service credits. And this is from an example I ran through with a client recently. And it's going to cost you $30,000 to purchase these 1.7 years. But by doing so, when you add these 1.7 additional credits into your pension calculation, this will give you an extra $3,000 per year from your pension. So there's a couple ways that you can look at this. One is that you could take that $30,000 and divide by $3,000, and that gives you 10. So that tells you that it takes you 10 years to break even on your investment. So after that, you're now getting paid back return on your money. So that's a pretty good investment. The other way to look at this is you could say, okay, I'm investing $30,000 and I'm getting $3,000 a year. So again, that same calculation gives you 0.10. That tells you that you're getting a 10% return on your money. So with both of those, it's very hard to take that $30,000 that you invest that somewhere else and make a 10% return with essentially no risk. Now, could you invest that money in the stock market and maybe make a 10% return? It's possible, but you're taking on risk in doing so. So depending on your appetite for risk, this might make a lot of sense for you to purchase back these additional years. And one final point I have to make kind of as a bonus to this is that you also have the ability when you retire to use other retirement funds to purchase an additional annuity benefit through the Connecticut Teachers Retirement Board on top of what you would qualify for with your traditional pension. And they have some information on their website about this. And this is either by using the supplemental account or by using additional retirement funds. So let's just say, for an example, that at 65, because they have a chart that shows the different annuity rates based on your age, the payout goes up the older that you get because of the fact that your life expectancy is going down. But according to their chart, if you retire at 65, you receive $6.74 for every $1,000 that you invest in the pension plan. So if we just look at this as an example, let's just say that you had a 403B account with $100,000 and you're 65 and you roll it over to the Connecticut Teachers Retirement Board. They would pay you $674 per month, or that's $8,088 per year. So going back to our break-even example on the buying of the additional years, if we do that same thing, we divide $100,000 by the $8,088, that gives us an 8% return, or it only takes us 8 years to break even on our money. That's also a very good investment and a low-risk investment at that. Now, I question the accuracy of this, so I would definitely confirm with the Connecticut Teachers Retirement Board that this is the case, because this is a very rich benefit. But if it is accurate, it could be a very good investment for you. And it does say on their website that these annuity rates are subject to change, so maybe this is an older rate, but hopefully not. So I hope you found this episode helpful. I'm going to continue on with this topic of Connecticut teachers, and next week I'll be focusing on 403B and 457 options, talking a little bit more about that. We'll wrap up with that. And also, if you do have a listener question, please feel free to write in. Go to retirewithryan.com. Then on the contact form, you can indicate the question that you'd like addressed in a future episode. Also, as I've asked before, I really would appreciate if you haven't left me a review on your iPhone with the Apple Podcast app. Search Retire with Ryan and scroll to the bottom and leave me a review, not only a 5-star review, but also a short sentence or two on what you really appreciate about this podcast or what you're getting out of it. And then from there, if you haven't subscribed, please also do that as well. Have an awesome week, and I look forward to talking to you next Wednesday. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.